people are willing to work past their differences.
Here are some peaceful people who are looking for peaceful solutions.
We have not done our job in connecting with other Americans.
Whilst India and Pakistan might be claiming that there is peace between these two countries, the reality is that people are being killed.
America is the leading country of the dominant civilization today, and Muslims are an integral part of it.
Global Forum, a weekly program exploring topics and issues with an impact that spans the entire globe. Dr. Agha Saeed acts as host and moderator, leading the conversation as well as providing personal insights.
Why is it that the United States is the country that gave birth to investigative journalism and produced such remarkable journalistic traditions, yet is threatened by any competing sources of news?
To what extent can we say that Islam in America has had different faces? It had no face for a long period of time, then it required an African-American face. That's the face of black Muslims in the Nation of Islam period. Then it acquired an Arab face for a long period of time. And now it has multiple phases. So maybe for the first time, Islam is being seen with its pluralistic outlook or pluralistic composition.
Well, as you know, there is an issue of the framework that sustains the present arrangement, which is semi-democratic and semi-dictatorial. And the question is whether the present elections will be a means to change that setup and transition to democracy, or to sustain the present arrangement in place. So what I'm saying here is, where is the equivalent of that open globalized society where we say nationalism is not going to change or disappear anytime soon? Fine. But even the context of multinational pluralistic perspectives, are they flowing back into this country?
With an ever-changing panel of diverse guests, the forum's discussions vary from the issues facing South Asia and the greater Muslim world to the problems in today's mainstream media.
India is insisting on building some kind of confidence between the two countries, and they perhaps might delay the issue of Kashmir and discussion on it.
One optimistic factor for the people of Kashmir is that international community, including the United States, including the United Nations, they have accepted the fact that the wishes of the Kashmiri people cannot be ignored.
Command and control is directly opposed to a democratic concept of the system. Command and control is essentially a system of the armed forces, and it is opposed to a civilian democratic polity.
For the last 6 months, the entire energy of the nation is being spent on the issue of whether the criminal law pertaining to the Zina should be there or not. For the last 6 months, the entire nation is busy on that, which is not an issue.
After the end of the collapse of the Soviet Union, end of the Cold War, and with the emergence of this Islamic quote-unquote extremism that worries Washington enormously, I think now the posturing is that probably it is democracy that will defeat these extremist movements.
I don't see how it will succeed. I wish that we will succeed in closing the chapter for the interest of the Iraqi people and for the interest of America. It's a messy situation. It's backfiring on any administration, whether Democrat or Republican, whether neocons or liberal Democrats.
I don't think, the dictators are worried whether, like before, the average citizen in Amman or in Cairo is going to know about a story. They are more concerned about what happens beyond their borders.
The good news is that if you have the courage of journalists willing to ask the questions and make the commitment to go up against ministries of information, and it's happening in Pakistan, it's happening in the Middle East, it's happening around the world, in Mexico, Colombia, the high number of journalists that are risking their lives is at the worst levels, unfortunately. So the commitment to this growth in journalism is still down to the individual.
Lots of evolution in the medium and in the access of media makes it easier for people to know more about the world around them and makes a more democratically informed citizen.
I think what people really hunger for is to understand where they fit in the larger whole, in the larger scheme of things. We want a social role of news. We want news to show us where we are related to not just people like ourselves, but to the broader multiracial, multi-ethnic city and the broader global society of which we're now a part.
My voice, our voice, is not heard in the corporate media. My message is not conveyed. My persona is not perceived in the media, and the pushback of that then is within my community, the Spanish-speaking community, the Mexican community, the Latin American community, beginning to organize its own organs, its own instruments of conveying its message.
I mean, I think that the failure of American media, it has reached an all-time low in this country, has left a wide open space for independent media.
Can there be a single source? I suspect not. I think people will more and more be comparing the rich variety of viewpoints that they will get on the air, and I think Al Jazeera English is an example of trying to head in the direction of accommodating perhaps the different interest patterns than are usually ascribed to Western media.
So different kind of reporting again give you a better perspective of understanding of what is actually happening. But if you have one source, then I'm afraid it's just going to be one news, and one news doesn't suffice in prison.
For informed, intelligent debate on a whole world of topics, join Agha Saeed each week for the Global Forum.